Okay, pal, you want smash mouth power and efficiency? Then here's your starting lineup. Ford F-Series, #1 for 37 years straight. Talk about a dynasty, baby. Hey, it's game time, sports fans, at the Bill Ford Tough Sales Event.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from the lobby of First Financial Bank in Stephenville. I'm Kelton Weens, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to 90.5 KTRL FM and tarletonsports.com/listen live. Please help me in welcoming the first-year head coach of the 9-5 Tarleton State Texans, Misty Wilson. Coach, third show. You're getting pretty good at this, aren't you?
I don't know about that. I'm still pushing for that media training.
Coach, tough loss last night to West Texas A&M. We will get to that in a second. But last week we asked you about any sleep after a big win. Do you get any sleep after a tough one-point loss?
No, definitely not. I did not sleep much last night. You do a lot of that, I guess, Monday morning quarterback. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, things like that. And especially after a loss like that, we were up by 3 at the end of regulation, and they got that three-pointer in transition. And, you just second-guess all your decisions that you make.
We'll talk about that loss here in a second, but let's jump back to Saturday against Cameron. You went to Lawton, Oklahoma. You played a very tough Cameron team, and you lose 75-65. What was the big factor for you in that game?
I think we talked about it a little bit last night in the pregame show, but just probably the layups to me was giving up layups in your half-court offense, and you can't do that. And they're a good three-point shooting team, so you've got to stay close to those shooters so you can contest those shots, and so you really have to rely on your help from your weak side.
Coach, in that game, Kathy Thomas fouls out with a lot of time left in the second half, and she had 16 points at that point. How did that affect your offense closing out the game?
Well, it definitely affects our offense. Kathy can create. She's good at finding her teammates. She can get basically any shot she wants to on the floor. And, she actually had 3 fouls and got her 4th one. And I think we were down, so I thought I'll leave her in. And, I think she can finish it. And then the next possession, she got the next foul.
Right.
And I felt like that was a tough call. I don't know how much contact there was on that play. But, it definitely affects our team down the stretch.
That Cameron game, to me, was really kind of a statistical anomaly. If you had a number of stats in there that you would say would win you basketball games, if you win those stat categories other than the scoreboard, you had 44 rebounds, 12 more than Cameron. You had 17 second chance points and just 14 turnovers and 11 assists. That's really everything that you want in a basketball game other than 33% field goal shooting.
Yeah, we did a lot of things right, and I think we've done that all year. There hasn't been a game yet where we've just not done well in some categories, and that's kind of been a test to the players and their durability and perseverance. But that game, like I said, it's just I think they shot like 40-something% from the field, and that's a big difference. And you've got to limit them to at least 40 or less.
Second straight game for you that you didn't shoot that well. Coming out, and what do you do to fix that? Because it seems like shooting can kind of be a mental game sometimes as well.
Well, I think in that game, each night, you might just have bad nights. You might get open looks, and you might just, not be able to knock them down. But in the case against Cameron, and they were running a zone, we could have got better shots. If we had penetrated some gaps and got the ball inside. I didn't feel like we were real aggressive with our zone offense, and which led to maybe some bad shots, which is why we shot poorly.
Jasmine Robinson, one of the best shooters in the conference, leading that LSC in scoring this year. What do you have to do to slow her down for Cameron? Because she is the man.
Pray.
Yeah.
You have to pray a lot. No, she's very good, and she can score. She can get to the rim. She's got a mid-range game, and she can shoot from the outside. So. That's one of those players that you probably have to go in and hope to limit her teammates and not her, because she is just that athletic. She's fast, she's quick, and she can do a lot of things well.
In that Cameron game, Apaku will be another double-double, 14 points, 16 boards. Kathy Thomas, 16 points, but someone that we haven't talked about much is Morgan Ashmore. She seemed to really find the offensive groove a little bit more this season in that game with 7 points.
think Morgan's really learning how to, and it's been a process, and she'll tell you that, how to be a threat, more of an offensive threat. I think she's done some things. Last year we had some players that, she just had to get the ball to them and let them work, and she's really learning how to be more of a threat, how to not only, facilitate the offense, but be a scoring factor.
Coach, last night, an 87-86 overtime loss. What really is kind of the big picture idea in that loss to West Texas A&M?
Well, first of all, I did feel like we battled from start to finish, and that's one thing you've got to give our girls credit for. We played well enough, we played hard enough to win. And it's just little things. You think about one defensive rebound, one missed free throw, and that game could have looked very different. And that's one thing that you've got to, you can't pout about it too long, because you've got to turn around and play again Saturday and on the road at that. So you take what you can get from it. You learn a lot from it. I learned a lot from it, and you hopefully can use it to get better.
At the half, you lead 42-41. It showed that it was going to be a very high-scoring affair. What is the balance whenever you go into the half? Because you want your defense to play better and limit the shots and the points, but you also want your offense to continue to do what they do, because it's obviously working.
Right, and one thing we stress to our players is that really every game comes down to one defensive stop, and if you can get that one defensive stop when you need it, then you have a chance to win. And we didn't do that last night. I think there was an offensive rebound off of a free throw that made a big difference in the game, and that's the one defensive stop that we could have gotten. And so yes, it's a high-scoring affair, but we're probably not going to be one of those teams that's going to go out and try to outscore people every night.
Coach, 44 points in the paint last night for you. Was this your best game for your inside players last night?
I think so, and again, if you use the losses and learn from them, then you can get better. And that's one thing we did learn from Cameron, and we watched that video. We watched almost every zone possession of that game, and really showed our players what was open, what was available. And just because teams are playing a zone doesn't mean you have to attempt 23s a game. You can still get the ball inside. You can still be aggressive in attack.
Brianna Fuller in her first season has 19 points last night. That's a career high and a season high for her. How bad did Brianna need that game?
I think Brianna needed that game for confidence. I think one thing people don't realize about Bree is that she's never played low post. She's never played on the block. She's always played from basically the free throw line extended or higher. As a screener or a passer, she was never an offensive threat in any offense that she has played in. So Coach Dacus has done a great job of working with our post players and developing them, and she's really probably the one that's come the furthest.
Coach, finally we talked to Morgan Ashmore in the next segment. You talked about her progression, but is it good to have her back from a knee injury?
Absolutely. And I know, injuries, she's a coach's kid, so injuries and sitting out and not having basketball really bothers players like Morgan, and you could definitely see a change in her demeanor from last spring to now. And again, she's just one of those. She loves the game. She's been a part of the game for a long time, and she really understands the game, and she's all in as far as our team goes.
That's going to do it for this segment of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show. On the other side of this 1-minute break, we'll chat with Texan junior guard Morgan Ashmore. This is the Coach Misty Wilson radio show on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. Welcome back to the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from the lobby of First Financial Bank in Stephenville. I'm Kelton Waynes, and I'm joined now by Texan junior guard Morgan Ashmore. Morgan, last night, tough loss to West Texas A&M. Break it down for us.
It was tough. It's tough to lose like that, especially with a 3 at the very end of regulation. But I feel like we did a lot of things good. There's stuff we need to work on, but overall we had a good team game. But obviously we have stuff to learn from it.
You mentioned to me earlier that you felt like yourself. You had a team high 5 assists last night. Talk about your play.
I felt more confident last night in handling the ball and being the point guard that I am. I felt loose, I guess. I wasn't really nervous. I just felt like it was the game that I needed to contribute more and be an offensive threat like Coach Wilson has talked to me about being.
Morgan, we talked about it a little bit this week during our halftime interviews, but you suffered a terrible knee injury toward your PCL against Eastern New Mexico. Did that happen at Tarleton?
It was actually here at home.
It was here. Yeah. Is that like visiting the scene of like your first car accident? Like you always remember that whenever you play Eastern New Mexico?
Yes, just because of how it happened. It wasn't like on a play during the game. It was just a shot that I threw up at halftime, and a girl tried to block it with no time left and kind of clipped me. So it was kind of an unnecessary injury that happened. So I won't shoot a half-court shot if she's on me this year.
How have you played this season coming off that injury?
Good. I had to get back in shape, definitely. I had to get quicker. I've just had to work out harder and focus on getting my quickness better and getting back in shape and being able to last longer.
Now you're from Spearman, Texas, where the wind meets the dust often. You played for, you and your brother, your dad, Junior. Talk about that experience.
It's awesome. When he coached my brother, I was really jealous because I never thought I'd get the chance that he would coach me, but it actually worked out to where my coach retired my freshman year and my dad took over, and it's one of the most fun, hard, frustrating things that someone could go through. Some people would be in the stands and my grandparents would hear them saying they were going to turn my dad in for being too mean to that player. My grandparents would just laugh, but it prepares you for a lot, but it's a bond that cannot be broken.
I imagine there's a lot of pressure being a coach's kid.
There is. You're expected to do things in a right way, and you're expected to act a certain way because you're representing not only your school or your coach, but that's your dad, that's your family. But it teaches you how to act right, how to be coachable, and how to play for and respect the coach you are playing for.
Last night, your mother tweeted me and said that Spearman is in the same county as Groover, Texas. Groover, Texas is the hometown of Madison McLean, who played for West Texas A&M last night. You know Madison.
Yes.
You grew up with Madison.
Very well.
Talk about that relationship a little bit. Was there a little rivalry whenever you hook up on the basketball court?
There are two towns. There's a little bitty town, but 2.5 towns in our county. It's us and Gruber. So we're not even the same classification. They were always a class younger than us, or lower than us, but when Spearman and Gruber played, it was a showdown. The older people in the coffee shops would be talking about it all week, and you would just hear people saying stuff, and the gym is packed, whether it's in Gruber or Spearman, and it's really a game that means nothing. So Madison and I have been battling since we were in elementary school, but we're really good friends, and our families are good friends too.
Morgan, switching gears, your boyfriend Chance Wallace, a Texan football player, suffers a terrible snowboarding accident last March. For those of us who don't know, what happened?
He was in Crested View, Colorado. It was the day after we got back from the conference tournament, and he was snowboarding and just caught ice the first day, and it flipped him forward, and he crushed his C6 vertebrae, and it paralyzed him from the torso down. And he was in Colorado for a week in ICU, and then he went to Dallas Rehab Center at Baylor and stayed there for a month and hated it. He hated being in a hospital scene, so he went home, and he's rehabbed all summer, and he rehabs here. He's back in Stephenville.
Now, the doctors originally said that he was never going to walk again. That's not the case anymore, right?
That is not the case, and it never was the case, whether they said it or not. Chance never took that I was never going to walk again. They told him that it was a complete spinal cord injury, but the first thing that he asked the doctor was, is my spinal cord severed? When the doctor said no, he said, oh, okay then. So he does not have the mindset that he won't walk again. He will never accept paralysis. He will only accept getting better.
So your boyfriend has this knee injury, or this back injury, and you've got your knee injury. That's a double whammy for you. What was running through your head at the time?
Honestly, it put me into perspective that it could be so much worse. I can take another step and I can play the game that I love, but it taught me to be thankful for the moment that I have, and that everything you love can be taken away in a second.
You start the Chance Strong initiative, selling T-shirts. What's the reception been like for that?
Amazing. I had someone text me the other day that they saw a shirt in Colorado. I don't know how that happened, but just the people that support him, and I made about $5,000 off that shirt sale. And it's helped so much, and the support that he's gotten, it really helps him, whether people realize it or not.
And what's the update? How's he doing?
He is doing good. He's came back last semester in Stephenville. He took online classes and worked out. This semester, he's back in the classroom. It might be a little uncomfortable for him, but he's doing it. He's doing really well. He's still rehabbing. He goes to Panama during the summer to do a stem cell treatment, and it's really unusual to get the opportunity to do that. And then he'll do some project walks that they have around the country that are really good for spinal cord injuries, so he has a lot of good opportunities coming his way.
Well, Morgan, thanks for your time today. Good luck this season, and thanks for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back in 1 minute on the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from First Financial Bank on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. And welcome back to the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from the lobby of First Financial Bank, right here in Stephenville. Please join me in welcoming back the first-year head coach of the Texans, Misty Wilson. Coach, time now for us to run through the Lone Star Conference schedule from this last week. On Thursday, Cameron beats Texas Women's in Denton 77-65. Then 4 games on Saturday. West Texas A&M beats Texas A&M Kingsville 72-55. Texas A&M Commerce with a 68-60 win over McMurray, and Eastern New Mexico with a 65-56 win over Angelo State. On Sunday, Texas Women's had a tough loss to Midwestern State in Wichita Falls 57-55. And then last night, Cameron beats Texas A&M Kingsville 66-58 in Lawton. Texas A&M Commerce beating Eastern New Mexico 70-62 in Commerce. And Midwestern State beats Angelo State in Wichita Falls 69-61. And Coach, Angelo State's now lost 6 straight. A very tough situation for Coach Petrie right now.
It is, and I know she's lost. She's lost a couple very good players, a couple post players, and I think we talked about this last week, that once you get that first win, you could really turn some things around. And so in this conference, you're not out of it till the very last game.
How difficult would that be to coach through losing a couple of your best players?
It would be tough. Sometimes there's addition by subtraction, and sometimes there's not. And it's just the coach's call and what kind of culture you want to run your program, and you just have to make the call on that.
Look at the current Lone Star Conference standings as of last night. Cameron at 8-7. They're 5-1 in the Lone Star Conference. They're in first place. Second place is West Texas A&M at 13-2, 4-1 in the Lone Star Conference. Midwestern State is 14-3, 5-2 in the conference. Texas Women's 11-6. They're 4-2 in the conference. Texas A&M Commerce 9-6, 3-2 in the Lone Star Conference. They're fifth. Tarleton State 9-5 overall, 3-3 in the LSC. Eastern New Mexico 6-9, 2-3 in the conference. Angelo State is 8th in the conference, 5-11 overall, 0-6 in LSC play, and Texas A&M Kingsville dead last at 0-16 and 0-6. Coach, this weekend you head to Portales, New Mexico, play the Zias of Eastern New Mexico. You saw them play earlier this year in Lubbock. What did they do in that game? I believe they played UTPB.
They played UTPB, and I think they lost both of their games, but I know especially that UTPB game, they were in it. They like to really push the ball in transition. They've got a couple post players that are really starting to play well, and some good shooters, and they've got some bigger guards that could cause some matchup troubles. And they also play a lot of zone.
Coach, Greyhound Arena, always a very tough place to play. What does it take to win there?
A little extra oxygen. But no, I think our depth will come into play, and we can kind of use some of our depth in that game where we can rotate people in and out, and maybe run the floor and push the tempo a little bit on them.
How have you seen how Eastern New Mexico has changed since that UTPB game? Maybe doing things a little differently.
No, they're still doing a lot the same. They do mix up their defenses a little bit. He likes to throw a few different defenses in, some traps maybe out of their half-court defenses, their half-court zones. And offensively, I think they are maybe looking to get the ball inside a little more than they were early on, because players like Jasmine Johnson are really starting to play well for them. And Tori Tucker, I've always thought she was a good player, real active and high energy.
This is certainly not the farthest that you've gone for a road trip this year. That would be to Winter Park, Florida. But this is going to be the longest distance that you've traveled on a bus. How do you keep your team loose after you spend 6 hours on a bus to Eastern New Mexico?
Well, we have some people that are going to feed us in Mule Shoe America, And so it's actually,
Lovely mule shoe.
yeah, it's actually part of Morgan's family, and that's always good when you get to have a kind of a family type atmosphere, and have your whole team there, and it's a little bit of team bonding and a relaxed environment. And that's the thing about this team is they're better when they're relaxed, when they're having fun together, and enjoying each other's company.
That Eastern New Mexico game is at 3 p.m. Central Time. Tip from Portales. The National Farm Life pregame show beginning in that one at 2:45 right here on KTRL 90.5 FM. Coach, on Wednesday you return home for the first of 2 non-conference games against McMurray. Do you know anything about the War?
I've seen their record. That's about it. I think they played against a team that I watched on film that we were playing against, so I wasn't really concentrating on them. I was concentrating on the other team, of course. But again, I think I've said this before, but if it doesn't matter who we're playing, wins are wins and losses are losses, and they have their effects. So we're going to prepare like it's a conference game.
What is that? Does that shake things up a little bit for you in the middle of the week, whenever you're in the middle of the conference schedule as well, when you play a non-conference game?
I don't think so. I think the reason we scheduled those was, one, to get games, because we have only 16 conference games, but also to kind of keep that routine of playing 2 games a week. And routine is almost comforting at this point. You kind of get into a routine, and you grow comfortable with that, I guess, is probably the best word. And sometimes you kind of have that debate as a coach: do I want to give them a day off or do I not? But
Right.
in this case, we get to keep that.
That game is from Wisdom Gym against the McMurray Warhawks at 5:30 p.m. Next Wednesday, pregame show starting at 5:15 right here on 90.5 KTRL. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break. When we come back on the other side of that break, it will be time for for giveaways for our live studio audience. Big thanks to Domino's Pizza for providing the pizza today for the Coach Misty Wilson radio show. We'll be back in 1 minute on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. Welcome back to First Financial Bank and the 3rd edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show right here in Stephenville. I'm Kelton Weens, joined by the first-year head coach of the Texans, Misty Wilson. I'd like to thank Domino's Pizza for providing the pizza today for our live studio audience. Time for some giveaways. Here, if I call your name, go see Terry Hardcastle at the easel, and you're going to flip over a card and reveal what you have won. The first one, Kate Del Bueno. Did I say that right?
Del Buno.
Okay, Del Buno. Congratulations, Kate. Let's see what she's won, and it is a bag, First Financial Bank bag. Congratulations, Kate. Cameron Best is our next one. Cameron, all right. Cameron's gonna flip a card. Coach, what do you want the most from that little pile over there? Hats, bags. As Cameron wins a hat.
I'd probably go with the T-shirt. Add to my collection.
T-shirt's never a bad thing. Royce Harmon, our last winner. Royce, all right. Royce is gonna flip a card. Drum roll.
Sneaky route.
Won a pair of hats from First Financial Bank. Big thanks to our live audience here at First Financial Bank for the 3rd edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show. Again, thanks Domino's Pizza for providing the pizza. Want to make sure to catch the Coach Lon Reisman radio show Fridays. That's tomorrow from 12 to 12:30 at Bruner Motors at the corner of Lillian and the South Loop. 90.5 FM if you're in Stephenville, Granbury, and Fort Worth, and on tarletonsports.com/listen live. Again, the next broadcast of Texan basketball is this Saturday, January 24th in Portales, New Mexico at 2:45 p.m. Central Time, 1:45 Mountain Time if you happen to be making the trip all the way out to Portales. Coach, one last question. We hit the road again for Portales this weekend. We've been on the road a lot this year. What's your favorite road memory this season?
Let's see. Yeah, Florida was pretty fun. That whole
Florida
trip, I
We wore
really
shorts the
enjoyed.
whole time.
Yeah, we did wear shorts, and I really enjoyed being with the girls and just having that time with them.
I ate some great food in Florida as
We
well.
did eat good food.
Well, that's going to do it for the third edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from First Financial Bank in Stephenville. I'd like to thank everyone involved with this broadcast of Tarleton Athletics. Morgan Ashmore for joining us earlier in the program. Our producer back at the KTRL studio, Aaron Young, and our on-site engineer, Jody Lee Connell from KWBY. Also, thanks go out to Nathan Burrell and Jeff Smith from the Tarleton Sports Information Department. Also, give a big thanks to a man who doesn't get a lot of thanks, is that's graduate assistant coach Jake Stevens. We got you covered, Jake. Most of all, I want to thank everyone for listening, and for the first-year head coach of the Tarleton Texans, I'm Kelton Weeds, and we will talk to you on Saturday afternoon from Portales, New Mexico at 2:45. Thanks, and have a great day.